Yeah. Yeah, money, 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 make the world go round. And a little big short to see what happens. All of a sudden, ain't no bulls to be found. Yeah, will it stop dumping down and shouting loud balls, retracting at the speed of sound? Ooh, keep talking that talk and watch Camel Crew do all the walking. Boy, you about to find out. Yeah. Oh my God, what's that? It's a bird, it's a plane. I know what it is, it's a damn shame. Retail under a spell again, down on the Kool-Aid, can smell the ferry.
Yo, money make the world spin fast. Shut down the feds, see what go on. It's a go stall, make we check that. Watch this. Yo, money make the world spin fast. Shut down the feds, see what go on. It's a go stall, make we check that. Try test me, but me never show spite. So me get left alone, real no real too. Ghost in a man, I just pass right through. Drop thing dead, city stay in a bin. Pounds no stack, man, nah see no win. Me I pre the roads, little cash, little sin. But me soul start scream when me untouch the thing. Nah, never that life. Me see the youth, them lock up, me see the strife. Temptation strong, but my mind move wise. Man hold firm, me no pay that price. Never that, man no fall for the rat trap. See the game, but me sidestep that. Find me way, and me never look back. Never that, hunger pain, me no stay upon that. Get me faith fun away through the maze. Now me brain print cash in 100 ways. Yo, born in the belly of beasts where the fiends don't sleep. Old man sip that poison deep. Bare lies while mumsy weep. Cheat, gaslight, twist up facts. Home weren't home, just broken flats. Bills stay red, fridge stay bare. Whole team peak, but nobody cared. Had to move smart, had to move cold. No handouts, just do what you're told. End stay gritty, man get caught. One wrong step and your life get bought. Some man slip, some man fall. Dodge them youths that bang then crawl. Mind stay sharp, heart stay still. Fake one smart, but the hate stay real. Cut them charts, patterns talk. Pound sign flip when the candles walk. Turn them losses, made that back. Study them graph like I studied the trap. Came from the trenches, now it's sats. Trade move clean, no feds on backs. Camel show man to think with tact. Skeptic mind, don't trust no stats. Moving up still, but I ain't forget. Scars from the last, I could keep man check. Pain in my chest, still see them bets. Made mistakes, man, learn from that. Now man eat, now man rest. No more stress about ends or debt. Cash flow clean, mind stay free. No more fear, just life in me. No, never that life. Me see the youth, them lock up, see the strife. Temptation strong, but me mind.
Unmute the mic. Good morning. Hello. We are officially live because Bitcoin is pumping. So as always, if you could confirm you can hear me so I can have a bit of peace of mind, that would be greatly appreciated. And then I think we'll get into this straight away. I'm just going to set a timer on my phone because I don't want to be here 2 hours. I'm always here 2 hours. So yeah, we're going to set a 55-minute timer. And then when it's done, you can hear me. Thank you very much. Yeah, okay, so I'm setting a 55-minute timer now, and then that will give us roughly an hour, I think. And we'll take it from there. So thank you all for being here. I thought what I would do is run through a few charts, show you what I'm seeing, and then I think we'll do some Q&A or something like that. I don't want this to turn into you guys just spamming altcoin tickers and, and me just clowning on them. So if you've got some actual questions rather than ticker requests, that would be greatly appreciated. And yeah, without further ado, let's take a look at some charts and then I'll hop back to the comments. So needless to say, this is probably the thing everyone is focused on at this moment in time, which is Bitcoin appears to be confirming or trying to confirm a half cycle low inversion and potentially therefore a weekly cycle low from here. So complex, annoying, somewhat outside of the system, but as we know, around 80% of the cycle lows fall inside of the tolerance for the window, and that of course means about 20% of them do not. So if it's going to go from here, obviously, you know, I've spent I don't know how long probably somewhere akin to 2 months, beating the same drum that Bitcoin will probably stage a lockout rally that it tends to spend most of its time doing a whole heap of nothing before then exploding to the upside. And I think that is possibly what is about to happen here. There is still a chance that we can do some kind of Bart Simpson in here, okay, come back down into the cycle low, and then it will form one of those cycle lows inside that 80% that show up on time and on schedule. So we can't discount this yet. But given that this looks an awful lot to me, at least at the moment, like this is trying to confirm an early cycle low, given that it's also broken out, given that it's also for the first time now on the weekly time frame got a true swing low pattern, okay? Unless this thing is completely undone and this turns out to all be one massive top wick, then that is indeed a weekly swing low. It's also confirming with a Brexit down the bottom, okay? So it looks a lot to me like it could well be party time. So, of course, as a market, anything can happen, and that includes seeing, as I said, some kind of Bart Simpson come out of here into a cycle low early May. Maybe we get this. At the moment, though, it feels a lot to me, and I don't know about you guys, but it feels a lot to me like too many people are looking at this now and probably thinking, oh man, I wish I could buy the dip. Or if it just comes back a bit lower, I'll buy, right? If you think about it, only a couple of weeks back when we were in this kind of neighborhood, everyone and their dog was talking about getting in down here somewhere. And right now, given that we've had this big squeeze, I reckon most of those people have shifted from, oh, if it goes down here, I'll buy, to, okay, if it can just pull back to about 85k, then I'll buy. So I think they're probably going to be forced to start chasing this higher. That is how lockout rallies occur. Also, we saw retail leave completely, and the metrics are down at bear market lows in this neighborhood, which is, of course, indicative of seller exhaustion. If there are no more sellers left to go, then who's going to sell, right? Only the buyers are left, and that is entirely what constitutes a half cycle low inversion. So they're pretty rare, but it certainly seems that way at the moment. If we can close daily candles above this wick, then I would say that's absolutely confirmed and there's no going back. So it looks to me a lot like that's what we've got, and the making of a big squeeze. When we go to the Bitcoin all-time chart, which is this one right here, and zoom out, let's go to a weekly time frame, put it on log, and scroll out a bit. You know, for this to be, oh sorry, let's do monthly. For this to be a typical right translated cycle, right? So we're talking 37 bars to the top, 35 months, 35 months. If this is going to be 35 months, you can see, based on this green box here, that yes, there may well be another 6 months left, but that's in like the absolute best case scenario, right? And I would think it probably does get front run ever so slightly. So there's not a lot of time left here. We can, of course, make up a lot of ground at the end of the cycle. That's typically what we see. It's the last few bars, right? The last 6 months where all the gains are made. So I think the stage is set here for a huge squeeze to the upside. I know there's going to be some people saying, are you calling for 500,000? No, that's just an arbitrary yellow squiggle. Okay, we don't know. There's no way of knowing how high it's going to go. But it does look a lot to me like we are setting up for that final push, that final extended fifth. We've already done 1 and 2, if I'm correct, right? All of this is 1 and 2. So 3, 4, and 5 should be left. Again, doesn't have to go that high. We'll figure it out as it unfolds, and we'll take it one day at a time as always. But the whole game plan, remember, for this 4-year cycle was to get in down here and get out somewhere close to the top. And we are now, as you can see, especially when I zoom out here, we are running out of time in the major 4-year cycle. So again, fireworks potentially ahead here, but it's getting very stretched. It's getting very late in this longer term cycle, which means any pumps that occur here, especially pumps to new all-time highs, are for me to be selling into. So wild, wild times, right? It seems kind of crazy that we've been talking about a lockout rally and everyone was ready to discount it for a long time, or many people were, I should say. And now it looks like it's finally party time, right? So pretty nice to see, I'm not going to lie. I think also from a trading perspective, I'm going to be looking to get the level 3 members into some crypto stocks to catch this, because otherwise we're going to have quite a gnarly stop here. I'm not really about this. So I think we'll play this via the crypto stocks, and I think they're going to start to really, really move higher. I wonder if MicroStrategy is the only one I've got in the trading account at the moment. We've got loads and loads and loads in the longer term account, and we added a bunch during my whole contrarian rant back in this kind of neighborhood early March time. I was jumping up and down screaming, buy the dip, I'm contrarian, and I hate everyone that's not a contrarian, and all this crazy stuff. And now those are finally moving into profit. So not the best timing in the world. It's not my proudest timed moment ever, but hopefully there is more gas left in this goose. Hopefully there is some scope for super performance in the crypto stocks. There's a bunch more that the members know about. And so that's what we're going to be looking at, I think. Just can we get underneath a few squeezes, and can they do something that nobody currently thinks is possible, right? Can they stage something like this over the next few months? And I know a lot of people will be saying, no way, no way, no way. But never say never, right? Crazier things have happened. So it would be pretty cool if something like this is coming. Again, that's how I'm planning to play this via the crypto stocks. For the rest of the cycle, that's actually worked out pretty well for us, right? Especially if you've been following me for a while. We've managed to catch plenty of extra hundreds of percents in the likes of Riot, Marathon. We did a 17x on MicroStrategy. We caught multiple hundreds of percent on Heart and Wolf and a bunch of other ones, I think. So yeah, and we even, when this is how late we are in the cycle, Camel added and then doubled down to a GME position, okay? So what part of the cycle is this when Camel is buying GME? You know, I'll leave that up to you guys to decide, but that is where we are. And at the same time, it looks to me like we've got the top, at least a short-term top for the daily and weekly cycle here for gold. So as gold is probably looking to confirm something like this, daily and weekly cycle. And then the question is, does it just come ripping out of here to 4K? Or has it got to waste a whole nother kind of sideways consolidation, weekly cycle low and go? If you're a level 3 member, I promised you I'd formulate a plan. I've got a plan. I'll share that with you after this live in the members section. And what's really interesting here is whilst gold seems to be topping, and so do these miners, right? These miners are going to need to be trimmed a little bit. We're going to take some profit out of those later. But silver, notice, is green. So I do wonder if we're going to see rotation. Are we going to see gold and gold miner money rotated into silver and silver miners? Is this now going to stage a massive catch-up trade? Because it's been lagging, right? It's been lagging a lot. It's currently about 30% off of its prior high from $50 all the way back here. Whereas gold is through that high and another 50% above it. So I wonder if we're going to get that. I'm keeping a very close eye on this, because if this is going to have a rip to 50, it'll probably happen in a flash. So we'll see about that. And other than that, there's only two things I'm really paying attention to. One is the 10-year yield. So is that just a fake out, lower high? Certainly no resumption confirmed because we're not above this wick here. 10 years should come down in line with my yellow squiggle. Yes, we got deviation, but you know, the yellow squiggle is usually undefeated, and therefore I think it would be silly to bet against it at this stage. So if this can come off, I think that's conducive to a nice big bounce through risk assets. And speaking of a nice big bounce through risk assets, this almost looks like it wants a higher low here. So the base case is still that the cycles are down, we'll find a lower low, and then we can talk about a move to a lower high. But if we are going to chop around here, do this to a higher low, okay, above this low for the stocks, and then break out, then there's a chance, and I don't know how much, I think it's still pretty slim, but there is a chance we can invalidate the lower high and move to new highs. And in that kind of environment, we absolutely thrive. So hopefully it's coming, but I'm currently not giving this market any benefit of the doubt. This market needs to prove to me it wants to move higher before I can put any kind of trust or size onto it. And other than that, I think it's fair to say things are largely speaking going according to plan. So long as this Bitcoin pump resolves to new all-time highs and we can sell those new all-time highs, then I think the jobs are good, right? I think we've managed it. And particularly if we can get the members into some trade setups today, something akin to this for Riot, let's say, stop below this low and then look for this thing to rip past this prior high. And again, I don't think anyone's going to be complaining, not only from the short-term setup, but also remember the core allocation at the lows, which people have been really complaining about because this is only, quote, only 100% in the past 2 years. But if we can get somewhere up in this neighborhood and then sell in line with Bitcoin, again, I don't think anyone's going to be complaining with that. So can it, can't it, right? We don't know. And as ever, we just take it one day at a time, let the cycles guide us. And it's also important to flag before I move into the comments. if this really is going to confirm a weekly cycle low, if something like this is just going to come from here, right, a big squeeze, then we absolutely have to draw a line under here and say that that's the failed cycle. Since the weekly cycle is now confirmed, we have to use this as hard invalidation. I don't know why I've put it here on the closes. It should be the wicks. But we're going to be out long before this level is traded if we start to squeeze up here. In fact, we're probably going to start to have some kind of trailing stop on the way up, because we should not be this late in the cycle moving up and then moving all the way back down near these lows. So we're finally there with hard invalidations for dumping the spot. We are finally there with potentially staging a lockout rally, and I think the stars are beautifully aligned to see this thing happen. So happy days for the Camel Crew, I guess. It's really just a case now of staying focused on the bigger picture, on where we are in the longer term cycles, and not trying to do too much. Many people will kind of ruin this because they panic sold or dumped their stack in this neighborhood, and now they're about to get locked out, and then they'll be chasing back here, and they'll be doing mental maths on how much they could have had if they hadn't messed this up, and they'll be trying to, you know, fix that by revenge trading or leverage trading or buying something way outside of the risk curve, and all of this is a recipe for getting wrecked. So we just want to focus on doing the basics right here, keep that objectivity, try to keep all the FOMO and FUD and all of these emotions out of the way, and just trade what's in front of us. For now, this is a very encouraging sign. I've been trying to warn people for a long time now, for many, many weeks, that we don't want to quit just yet, and it's too early to make any hard and fast conclusions. We even did a live stream last week where I was begging people not to quit, and so hopefully some people listened. Hopefully that message reached some people, and yeah, that is my presentation. That's where I think we are. I've been waffling for about 10 minutes, so I'll hop into the comments and see what's going on there. I can see Studio Cook has joined the level 3 members. Thank you for that. And please go back and watch a few of the videos so you can see what we're doing and why. Don't trust David Hunter. I don't know. Don't I? I don't really trust anyone. I think he's raised his target to 8K for the S&P 500. Now, I hope he's right, because that's the type of environment I do the best in, right? If this is coming from here, then I'll be able to stay long and strong and build size along the way and add on cycle lows, and I'll do, you know, better than ever if that's the environment we've got. But is that reasonable? It doesn't even look right to my eyeball, to be honest. If 8K was going to come, I would think we have to totally avoid a recession and build it much slower. I would think we have to do something much more like this. And I don't know, but I have a system and I stick to the system, right? We had the 3 angles, we violated the third and the second, we failed the cycle. That tells me on a balance of probabilities, a lower high is the most probabilistic outcome. So yeah, I mean, I hope he's right, but I certainly wouldn't say I trust him or anyone. Nothing personal to David. Let's try and scroll back a bit and see what I can find here. Will there be an alt season? I mean, I have never suggested there will be. I've always said that I think the breadth will remain thin and a handful will probably do well and most of them will not. I still stand by that, and I still stand by the idea that if an alt season is possible, and even if one is, I think it's going to be thin, right? Again, I don't think we're getting thousands or even hundreds of thousands of coins rallying. I think we're getting a handful if there's a season, but it would probably occur in here, right? Bitcoin would have to do something like this and then sell off or pull back into a weekly cycle low or top, and then maybe for about 8 weeks in here you could see some altcoins do well. But it's not the base case, really, that there's going to be a broad-based alt season. It never has been. And I haven't checked Bitcoin dominance in a while, but I would imagine this just keeps screaming higher. Yeah, 64, so practically at new highs, right? Does this mean the setup is coming? Let's scroll out so we can see what this is. I mean, it's just this, isn't it? But, excuse me, it's just this bit, but from later in life. Can it happen? I don't know, right? But by the time Bitcoin is topped, this might have a chance of breaking down, or we might enter a recession and then it's going to go to 100%. It just is what it is. So I don't know, man. How's Ethereum doing? Ethereum's still not even broken out, right? Still following the yellow squiggle. If it can break out of the downward sloping red, I might even be tempted. But so far, nothing to really write home about. So you know, what is there to say, really? Ads, you finally caught it live. Nice one. MicroStrategy update and target. I mean, I don't know what the target is, but what I've been saying to the members is it should be easy to spot here. Okay, if there are new highs and that wasn't the ultimate top, then because of how late we are in the cycle, we should expect this thing to pretty much look like this. So it will be easy to know if this thing is going to new highs because it will just go nearly vertical. But if there are not new highs in this, that really was the top, it's already forward priced everything that's coming for Bitcoin, etc., then something more like this is probably in play. So if it just starts to waddle sideways here and grind, then especially with a backdrop of Bitcoin moving to highs, new highs, it's pretty obvious, I think. We're going to be able to look at that and say, okay, well, we need to get out of this position as soon as possible, really. So I do think it'll be easy to deal with. Because, again, if it has got new highs in it, then it should probably start to just explode to the upside. So either way, I think this is not a position I'm too concerned about. I think this will be one of the easier positions to deal with because it will be so blatantly obvious, right? It's either going to go vertical or it's going to chop. So that should be pretty easy. As for targets, I don't really do targets. I'm a trend follower, so I will just follow this trend until I think it's done. Took some profit on gold. Okay, good, good. Yeah, I'm going to take some profit today. I'll notify the members when I'm out. Silver sucks until it doesn't. Who is here before 1721? Getting alts now. Yeah, but it's not the same. You can't compare the altcoin environment to 17 and 21. You can't, because there's millions and millions and millions of them now. It's just a completely different thing. And the retail participation is at all-time lows. 2017 was an ICO craze as well. It was very concentrated. It's no way near comparable to today. What else we got? Yeah, everyone seems to think ETH will be the catch-up trade, but will it? I don't know. I mean, you say mark my words, but why? Why? Why should it outperform Bitcoin? It doesn't make sense. Solana is probably more likely to outperform ETH and Bitcoin, I would think. How are we doing for time? Oh, we've got loads of time left. Loads and loads and loads of time. Which do I think will perform the best out of Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, GME, XRP? I have no idea. I've absolutely no idea. I've absolutely no idea. You can never really tell, right? You just can't. Are people still... You guys seem like you're still very heavily in alts. which is pretty crazy to me. But then again, I suppose if I'm calling for these crypto-related stocks to do the kind of numbers that I'm expecting them to, then I don't see why a handful of alts couldn't do well. But I don't like your odds if you're an altcoiner. Like for me, there's about 15 total or less crypto stocks, and most of them are probably going to do well. But with altcoins, you've got like 20 million to choose from. I think it's more than that. How do I see the change in disconnect to general market and Dixie? I think the Dixie should bottom soon. It should do. This should be a weekly cycle low. It's really late, and it's really overdue, and it's really overextended. So I would think this is probably going to rip to the upside, but we'll see about that. Is there a probability a recession will happen after next cycle? I don't know. I don't know, because I think if we go to this one... Put it back on this. Yeah, so it's a pretty simple theory for anyone that's unfamiliar. Cycles tend to go 3 right translations and then a left translation. But where we don't get the left translation in cycle 4, we get it in cycle 5. So because this is the expectation, the question is, does that mean we're going to enter a massive prolonged recession in here? And I don't think it necessarily is. I think what this is just going to be, Bitcoin's going to get way overheated way too quickly. And then it's going to take a long time to reset the larger cycle. That's what I think this is. And I think during this whole time, the stock market will probably be range bound. And this is just a direct result of number one, cycle theory, number two, record QE, and number three, you know, every man and his dog is going to have been trained to buy a 4-year cycle low. So I think this is just going to get front run so it can reset the cycle. That's what I think is going to occur. I don't know if this speaks to a recession. I think it just speaks to the left translation. All of the gains happen extremely fast, and therefore it takes a lot longer to consolidate and reset that. This will be way too exuberant. You know, this will be like an 8x in a number of months, maybe more. And so I think that's all it is. It's the faster it goes up, the more time it has to consolidate. And as another example for this, we're seeing this from gold right now. If we go to the daily time frame and look at the cycles, this weekly cycle here, we've done a perfect textbook, 1 right, 2 right, 3 right, now working on that left, and then we got to reset the cycle. And then the whole thing can go over again. So that's what we would normally get. But if you don't get it in cycle 4, you tend to get it in cycle 5 instead. So that makes me think that the next cycle for Bitcoin will be left translated. But I don't think it's necessarily correlated to a recession later in life. XRP thoughts. I have no real strong opinion on XRP. I expect it to be one of the coins that does well, just based on the fact it's already done better than most, right? It's already done quite a lot better. So we'll see. What is all these? There's a lot of scribbles on my chart. Oh, I know what that is. That's from the indicator. So yeah, this indicator will pick another low inside of this window. And then if it's going to go, it should go. I would think. It may even go from here, but I would think it probably looks more like this. And then go. And the indicator will pick it here as well. But yeah, I don't really know. There's no way of knowing. Everyone seems to think they know. That's the pattern I observe. Everyone seems to think they know something. But how can you possibly say you know where this is going, right? It's just not how it works. Thoughts on UK property market? Where I live, property prices have been slowly declining for about 1.5 years. And I would expect if we go into a recession globally, then the property prices will continue to decline for a little bit. I could see anywhere from 20% to 40% top to bottom. But then, of course, because I'm calling for record QE in 2026, I would expect the house prices to go through the roof then. No pun intended. What are the odds of a rate cut? I don't know. They really should, in my opinion, they really should be cutting rates. And they're just not. So this is why I keep saying controlled demolition. They're super, super, super far behind inflation, right? And the labour market is deteriorating, and even though they keep lying about it to pretend like it isn't, what does trueflation look like? Yeah, I mean, look at this. Look at this. And they're sitting there going, oh, we're worried about inflation creeping up. Well, what inflation? You know? So yeah, this is why I keep saying controlled demolition, and I think it's all part of a plan to bring everything down. They have to do that record QE because they need to create a bigger wealth divide, and they need to make people extremely poor via inflation, and the currency's worthless, and only then can they convince the masses to beg for a CBDC, and then they can offer the CBDC as the solution. So yeah. And I think we can see that. I think we can see that in the way that the Fed just refuses to cut and is well over 100 basis points behind the curve, according to me at least. We'd be 100 basis points lower if I was the Fed. We might be 150 lower, but that doesn't mean I'm right, of course. It just means that's what I think. But my streaming notification was your alarm clock. Okay, good. Happy days. What happens after left translation in cycle 5? It just resets. The whole thing goes all over again. So the biggest gains might even come out of that 4-year cycle low following the left translation. Yeah, the whole thing repeats. Can we look at the 4-year cycle on the S&P? Yeah. Yeah, this is how I have it. But I know Bob Lucas has it like this. And shifting all of these one back. And then I think he has this here. which actually does put us in line with a 2026 cycle low. I've left this here because I think it will bottom with Bitcoin. But then, based on my original count, that does mean this is going to be super late and extended. I mean, this is going to be more like a 6 years. There's always a chance as well that I saw Andrew talking about this, that we inverted here. And that would again bring us into that 2026 time frame in line with Bitcoin, in line with gold's half cycle low in its 8-year cycle. So maybe it's this, and this was a half cycle inversion. But yeah, this count is a little bit tricky. Trump is pushing hard to cut rates. No, Trump answers to the Fed, not the other way around. I'm convinced of that. I'm 100% convinced of that. So I don't think he can do anything about it. And the proof is in that CME chart, right? The CME, whenever it is above 85%, you can pretty much guarantee that whatever is 85% probability or higher will happen. And this is when it's 94%. This is as certain as we get in markets that there won't be a rate cut. So, and keep in mind, that's after the stock market sold off as much as it did. It entered a technical bear market. And there's still pricing 94%, 95% probability that we're not getting a rate cut here, with inflation falling, with labour market deterioration. Do you know what I mean? Like, Trump, he's powerless to the Fed. And I think they've signalled that plenty of times before. I don't really follow China, so I couldn't really say much about that. What's my view on Bitcoin? Will it come down? Doubt it. Lockout rally. That's what I think. GME, when do you think they buy Bitcoin? Probably at the top. GME will probably buy it at the top, right? I mean, that tends to be how it happens. So if you imagine a scenario where Bitcoin climbs its way up from here to, I don't know, 150 plus K, GME will buy it at the top. That will be the big news. That should, in theory, be bullish, but probably everything will be front run, and then we see the top come in. That's kind of how I would picture this happens. And this almost looks to me like it's getting ready to forward price this. So maybe there'll be an announcement soon, and then GME does this. Oh, because GME is going to buy Bitcoin, but then either they don't buy it, and then the stock price tanks, or they just top tick it, and then Bitcoin crashes, and the share price tanks anyway. That's if I had to guess, that's how I would think it plays. How would the market react if a rate cut would appear at these odds? Well, it's definitely not priced in. I think things like gold and silver would fly. I think Bitcoin would fly. I don't know. Based on where the cycles are all bottoming into that time frame, remember? So that's the other thing. It kind of tells you that no matter what happens, whether it's a rate cut or a pause or even a hike, because the cycles are bottoming, the path of least resistance is higher. So the market will just find any way it wants to explain away the upside, but because the cycles are bottoming. Show us the platinum chart. I think it's this one. This is the platinum chart. Let me zoom all the way out. There you go. Something like this. That's what I think. And people will say it's impossible, but it's not. It really isn't. It's not impossible. I tell you what might happen, though, in the bearish scenario, and that's this. But I don't think that's what's coming. I do think as well that this might take longer. It might have to get all the way into late 26. And we may even have a spill first, a bear trap into late 26, and then it can go. But ultimately, I don't think this is going to be too far from reality, believe it or not. Do I live in a smaller city or village, and would you advise the same for a young couple to start a family? Also, do I already own my dream car? Yep, I already own my dream car, and I think it depends on what you like. Because I personally live in the middle of nowhere, and that's how I like it. And we just actually, my first son is expected in July, and we just went to a nursery, a farming nursery where it's on a farm, and they do a bunch of like planting vegetables and counting strawberries instead of sitting in a classroom, and they encourage them to go outside and splash in the mud and make a bunch of, you know, splashing around in water. And they've got sheep and lambs and all this kind of donkeys and stuff. And Mrs. Camel was really wanted them to go and grow up in that kind of environment, which is great because we are country people ourselves and we love it. We absolutely love it. There's much lower crime and there's much more space. But I have plenty of family from London and they like to come down here for a holiday. But it drives them insane that there's nothing going on in the evenings. You can't get a takeaway past, I don't know, 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening. The pubs all close at 11 or 12 and there's no nightclubs open till 4 or 5 or 6 in the morning. So it drives some people completely insane. But for us, it's really nice. But we live a simple life, right? We just walk the dog on the beach and splash in the puddles in the forests and go fishing and stuff like that. So if you think that would suit you, then yeah, I would absolutely say it's probably the best for your kids. But again, some people just can't live like that. They need the hustle and bustle. So I guess whatever suits you best. Bitcoin always seems to bottom first, then the stock market, because Bitcoin is more risk on. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Bitcoin is the barometer for risk. Nobody congrats. Thanks, Jens. Yeah, I'm not a city boy. I've lived in London, plenty of areas of London. I was actually born in London, but yeah, I don't like it. It's not for me. But equally, when I moved when I was about 10 or something, and a bunch of my schoolmates, they couldn't wait to leave the country. As soon as they were old enough, they moved straight to a city, and they've never come back. So I really think it's down to personal preference. Do we still get a weekly cycle low? I think that is the weekly cycle low. I think it's in, potentially. I think we have a half cycle low inversion. Am I concerned about the education system? Extremely. And I'm actually really upset because I think I'm going to have to pay for private education. I was talking to some people in my family about this and some people locally that go to the private schools, and the private schools sound a lot better. But it just really annoys me that I pay as much tax as I do and then I have to pay for school. But yeah, I guess that's a real first world problem to have. The schools where I live are not particularly good. So yeah. Thoughts on SILJ? I don't know. I think we need to cut this, maybe. We'll see. We'll see if it's going to run. We'll keep pushing it. This is a weekly time frame. So yeah, I mean, failed breakout, right? We'll see. We'll see if it can push and this turns out to be a type 3 breakout. But who knows? I do like the fact silver is green whilst gold is topping. That kind of speaks to rotation, perhaps. And I also want to give this some space just in case this is just a pullback and it goes higher. So I'm not going to be doing too much getting in the way here, but we'll see. We'll see. Homeschool, I don't think homeschool is for me, to be honest. I think I want them to go out and do things, meet other people. I don't think growing up with an autistic camel that just does nothing but stare at a Bitcoin chart is probably conducive to good social skills for my children. So we'll see. How much tax? The effective rate for higher earners is 60%. And if you've got a company structured in a certain way, then you can pay a lot less than that. But only if you don't really spend it, which so yeah. Yeah, the tax in the UK is very, very unfair. I worked in an independent school. Yeah, because I live in the middle of nowhere, there's not a great deal of options. So would I move to Dubai? No, I would not move to Dubai. My wife's too pale. I think we were talking about this last week on the live stream. Yeah. Yeah, Reds, I agree. I have thought about leaving the UK, but I can't. I can't do it because I love my family too much. When will the Camel Finance website have a different payment system. It should be any week now. It should be any day now even. And I think they're going to we're moving to Razor Pay. Because I know a lot of people really have a problem with PayPal. Jens is right. If my children were homeschooled, all their standard reply would be, tell that to the bond market. Am I employed as a sole proprietor? No, I have. I've changed it. It's now a corporation. It was a partnership before that, and it was a sole trader before that. But if you go, it depends how much you earn. There's like levels. You can unlock different levels. If you can get to corporation, then you can do this weird thing where you build a parent company on top of it, and then the money that the company you work for can be taken to buy assets for the parent company built on top of it. And then that's a way of you never actually buying anything and never actually owning anything, but being able to spend your money. Otherwise, any money you take that hits your bank account, you have to pay tax on. So, but it kind of depends how much you make. Otherwise, everything's trade-offs, right? I think I'm quite far behind the comments to try and do some catching up. When do I think the dollar will be debased? Mid to late 2026. Gold down, Bitcoin up. Yep, as if like magic. How can the tax in the UK? I don't know. It's really, really cruel because there are ways to dodge it, but only if you kind of have your own business. If you're a doctor, I think it's the most cruel to those guys. They have to do like 5 years of med school and then another 5 years to actually get to consultant level, and then they're earning like 150k a year. If they're lucky, they're earning 200, and then they have to pay like 60% tax on that, which is really cruel. Whereas if you own a business that makes the same money, you could probably get away with paying 20 or 30% tax. So, but I mean, how is that fair? How is that fair at all? It's a really, really cruel system. And then if you've got other types of companies, you can pay yourself a dividend, and depending on how much you take, depends again on whether you pay 8 or 30 or whatever percentage. And then, as I said, you can build, there's other ways of like building companies on top of other companies. And then you can technically buy yourself an office, which is a building, which allows you to get rich on paper without actually ever having any income. And But all of this is not my area of expertise at all. I have an accountant, and he charges me almost nothing as well for this, by the way. So if you haven't got an accountant, then just go and get an accountant. It's way easier. Yeah, our capital gains tax is, I think, 24% for higher earners. I forget what it is for the lower bracket down. They just increased it. I think it might be about 11% if you earn less than 50k a year. And if you earn more than 50k a year, it is 24% capital gains tax. Everyone seems mind blown by our tax system. Yeah, our tax system is a weird one. It's a weird one. And the horrible thing about it is the more tax you pay, right, the less you tend to even use any of the government facilities, right? It's like it takes the average wait list for an NHS dentist in the UK is something like a year or a year and a half. So if you can afford to go private, you just go private. You don't even use that government fee. And it's the same if you need some kind of surgery, you could have a year or two's waiting list for my things crashed. Yeah, for an NHS doctor. But the reality is you end up going private if you are a higher rate taxpayer because you can afford it. So you don't end up ever using any of this stuff. Did this thing just crash? Can somebody let me know? My thing, it crashed on my end. I think it does this from time to time. Let me try and rejig this. Are we good? Sorry, my thing all crashed on my end. I think we're good though. I think you maybe just have to refresh or something. Is this stream still live? All all good. Okay, thanks, Matt. Yeah, the 60% tax is an effective tax rate because it works as if you earn under 50k a year, you pay something like 20% tax or something. Over 50k, everything you earn over 50k is 40-ish%. And then once you get to 150k and beyond, you lose this personal allowance. So the first 12.5k you earn is tax-free. But once you get over 150k a year, then you lose that, which makes your effective tax rate 60%. So yeah. It's pretty weird. It's pretty weird. But again, there are ways around it legally. All right, we got about 14 minutes left. I wasn't expecting this to turn into like a tax tax conversation. But I guess what else is there to do, right? Bitcoin's pumping. Yeah, don't forget VAT on everything. Yeah, that's true. And if you're a business that earns, I think it's 85k a year, then you have to register for VAT and pay VAT as well. So if you've got any side hustles that do remotely well, you have to pay 20% VAT on that. And then NI, yeah, national insurance, yeah. Oh, and student loans. Student loans in this country are 9% of your annual income as well. So that's another 9% if you went to university. Yeah, effectively forcing high earners to move. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, I don't know. I've only ever had one accountant, but he's absolutely brilliant. And he charges me, honestly, he charges me like a few £1,000s a year. And he saves me multiples of that. So yeah, I would highly recommend getting an accountant. The only thing is he does charge £150 to pick up the phone. But that means I just collate all my questions until I've got a justifiable amount. And then I can phone him and ask him 5 questions. Well, yeah, you are left with nothing to survive if you are not if you haven't got like a business and a good accountant. But realistically, you can pay like 20 to 30% tax if you've got your own business. And then on top of that, most people get cars on finance, right? And they finance their furniture and their carpet and their holidays. Spread betting is tax-free if you've got another income source, yeah. But if it's your primary source of income, then you have to pay income tax on it. Yeah, that's the worst thing. And then there's car tax, right? And all of my alloys are curbed, not because I drive them into the curb, but because there's potholes everywhere, right? And then you go to the fuel station, and about 70 or 80% of that is taxed. And then you buy a box of cigarettes and a bottle of rum to drown your sorrows for how much tax you paid. And that's about 80% taxed as well. Gold short in play, yeah, maybe, but I don't know if I want to short this. I was talking about maybe getting a hedge short on here. I was maybe thinking this could be an idea to hedge, but I've come up with a better idea, which I'll share with the members shortly. Or I'll come up with a way that makes me more comfortable, because these kind of moves can go on for a lot longer than you think. And if I show you an example by putting this in log and putting this fractal on, it is just a fractal, I know, right? But it could be this. So do we really want to be getting short here? Just because there's a weekly cycle? Because there was a weekly cycle back then as well, and it came much later. It came like 2.5 daily cycles late. Which during extreme moves can happen. And then we would shove this one over a bit. Shove this one over a bit. And it wouldn't look too insane. Maybe, arguably, that's a weekly cycle here that we just didn't even notice, right? Maybe it ends up looking like this. So, do you want to be short in this? I don't know. Like, this is the biggest problem with trading, and I say it all the time, but it's really important. You have to push the trade until it becomes unreasonable to continue to do it, right? The only way you can stay on these moves is if you keep pushing the trade until it's totally unreasonable to do it. And Bitcoin is a perfect example of that. How many people back here wanted to write to me every day and say, you're breaking your own rules, right? Oh, this is failed the cycle. Like, dump the stack. Oh, why won't you call the top, Camel? Well, it's because there was no true confirmed weekly cycle, and I wanted to push the trade until it became unreasonable to do so, right? And now in 2 or 3 daily candles, we've undone most of this move. So, yeah, that's why I'm not too keen about shorting gold. But we are gonna trim some profits. I think what we're gonna do is rebalance back to my initial allocation. I think that's what we're gonna do, and then we'll hold that, and we can't really lose because then we've still got the majority of the position left in case that big gold fractal plays out. And if it doesn't, and we do get a nice flush, well, we'll just add that back there, and then look to continue to see this thing rip over time. So all dips are for buy-in for gold. I'm not going to change that stance unless we trade all the way back down below this 8-year cycle low. Then I'm right, and we're going up forever. Forever defined as the next 3 or 4 or 5 years. Now, we're not doing Altcoin because it makes me sad. It makes me sad that we're all getting smoked by the Altcoin gang. So, yeah, David Hunter raised his targets for everything, I think, or most of his stuff. I don't really know. 4K seems possible, at least according to that fractal. Can level 3 members get a live stream today too? No, I don't think so. But we can maybe do one at the end of the week if you want. I've subbed for 3 months and I super chatted with no love. What, today? Did you? Let me have a look. Oh, I'm so sorry. I have missed every single one of these because I'm just waffling. Okay, so thank you to Fass for joining the Camel Crew members. Thank you for Studio Cook. We did shout Studio out earlier. Gamas Yudi, welcome to being a level 3 member. I hope I pronounced your name right. And Ferocious Whiskey coming in with a $20 super chat. Thank you very much. Okay, yes, we will look at H-bar. I'm sorry I missed your comment. And old Marius, welcome to being a level 3 member as well. Okay, so sorry about that. Okay, I hope that makes up for it. And we'll look at H-bar since you did spend 20 bucks on it. And 20 bucks is 20 bucks, right? Which one? I don't know. We'll do this one. We'll do this one. I mean, it kind of, I don't know. What do you do with that? Is it broken out? At least has it repaired? Let's see. Yes, it has. Actually looks okay. We'll see if the camel indicator thinks, I mean, it thinks it's got a daily cycle low, thinks another one's coming. So if this one's higher, then it's probably on, right? If this is a higher low, something like this, then it's probably on from here. But again, big pump, kind of distributive, and this. So I think the thing to watch for here is keep it super simple, okay? If this thing continues to move up and takes out new highs on a closing basis, then you can say, okay, it's reasonable to keep pushing the longs. If it then moves up and takes out the other highs on a closing basis, then you can say, okay, it's reasonable that we can expect price discovery. But if what happens here are lower highs, yeah, so we do something more like, let's be clear. So here is, for goodness sake, camel. So here's our high, okay? If what happens here is we form a lower high and then maybe a cycle low, and then that forms another lower high, then at this point, I think you have to say, okay, I need to get out of the market, right? It's just not doing what it's going to do. But we're late enough in the cycle now where if this is going to be one of those 20 odd coins that I think is going to do well, what we should see now is a pretty merciless lockout pump. It should look something akin to this back here. If there are still new highs left in this thing, it should look something like that. So that's H-bar. I hope that was worth 20 bucks. I really appreciate it. So thank you. And yeah, hopefully no more of those. Oh, we've got more. Okay. You just want to publicly say how good you are, how good the Camel Finance membership site is. Hats off to Ben for all the work he continues to put in. Thank you, Joshua. I appreciate it. Yeah, we are reskinning the website as well. It's about to look even cleaner. And I'm glad you like it. So thank you for the shout out. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. Let me check there's no more fan funding. Yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, thank you for that. How much time have we got left? About 5-10 minutes, let's say. Put this back on live chat. I'm such a jank streamer. I still have no idea. Yeah, I have to pay $19.99 tax on that super chat. Controversial take, Bitcoin's move is too obvious. I don't think it is. I really don't think it is. because and the reason I say that is outside of the hardcore Camel Crew, okay, that tune in every day and put in the work and can make their own decisions. Every man and his dog in here was telling me I was crazy and I was cheating my own system and they were quitting. Somebody even messaged me a big long message to say I'm out of the space, I'm leaving forever, and I'm going to take what gains I've got and go and buy a house. So that was the sentiment back here. Even some larger accounts were dumping big chunks of their stack to manage the risk and that kind of thing. Big accounts are flipping bearish in here. And to me, the max pain trade is we just mercilessly blast this thing off higher and don't let many people take part in it. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see, right? It will Bart Simpson back down into a cycle low if this move is not for real. Crypto Cobra in the house. Hello, brother. Thanks, Ferocious Whiskey. I appreciate you. Someone's gifting subs now. Goodness me. See, guys, you've got too much money now. Bitcoin's pumping, right? Thank you. Who gifted the subs? Satoshi Nakamoto. Thank you very much, brother. And welcome to the new members. You give me one Tau. I don't even know what a Tau is, brother. Why are people awake? Well, in the UK, it's 11 o'clock in the morning nearly, so it's not that bad. Yeah, thank you to Satoshi. Welcome to the new members. ET has found his way into the membership as well. Is a low printed in the camel indicator? Wait, is a low printed by the camel indicator final, or can it reach your? No, like any indicator, it can change its mind if the market reverses direction immediately. So just like how a MACD cross can uncross again, the camel can shift its indicator around if it wants to. If price starts to confirm and then it immediately reverses, it might say, oh no, that wasn't confirmed, right? And then it can shift it around. But generally speaking, once it's in, it stays in. If you've got it, you can go into the settings here and you can scroll down to, I think it's the bottom. Yeah, and you can turn on unconfirmed daily and weekly cycle lows like this. And then what that will do is every time it picks a low that's unconfirmed, it will highlight it like this. And the same for the weekly cycle. So it thought this was a weekly cycle, but it was unconfirmed. So it will highlight it like this. And then you can see it found the true weekly cycle later in life, found another one there. It was confident straight away because of the price action that follows. And this one is confirmed, not unconfirmed. If it was unconfirmed, it would be highlighted. So you can turn those on and off if you want to keep an eye on what's confirmed and what isn't. And obviously if it's unconfirmed, then it reserves the right to shift it about a bit. But once it's confirmed, then it will not move it. More members are joining, more people gifting. Thank you. What else we got? Yeah, Tau seemed... I think El Prez, don't quote me on this, but I think El Prez is a Tau guy, or at least he was at some point. Jumping in on Terra. I don't even know what Terra is. What else? Are we still getting a cycle low, or is this Valhalla time? Ben, I think this is Valhalla time. To be honest, I think we've got a half cycle low inversion. That's what it looks to me like. And as I was saying earlier, if it is going to Bart Simpson and reverse, then fine, we'll take that and we'll get long out of that cycle low. But I'm not convinced the market's going to give it to us at this point. I just think too many people want it. But we'll take it one day at a time as always. We're positioned either way, right? We did a bunch of dip buying. We got all the spot. If it's going to rip, it's going to rip. And sure, we'll let a few trades go in the short-term accounts. But I think we'll be able to catch it via the crypto stocks anyway. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll take our time as always. No rush. I don't mind being a bit late to a trade in exchange for higher confidence. So there's that. Am I going to add Bitcoin miners Riot? Yes, I am. We'll do that soon. I'll update you when we do it. And yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. What's my opinion on smoking crack on Mondays and then posting strange videos online? It is something that I am fond of from time to time. Right, let's have a look at this. Yeah, welcome to the new members. That's my alarm. Excellent. So that means it must be right around an hour. Thank you all for being here. If I see any decent questions in the next 30 seconds, then I'll answer those. But if not, I think it's time to love you and leave you. If you're a level 3 member, look out for an update on what we're going to do with the profit in the gold miners. I think we're going to trim some of that, so I'll let you know my plan for that. I might even just make a quick video because I think it'd be easier to explain. And other than that, thank you all for being here. It's always a good time to go 100x long on Cobra. But yeah, thank you all for being here. Thank you all for showing support and love. I appreciate it. Will gold model portfolio be available for everyone? Yes, I think it's almost done, actually. I think it's almost done. Let me quickly show you this. So gold DCA, I think this is practically ready. And I think it's going to make the first DCA on May the 1st. So it's going to be running multiple things where on the 1st of the month, it adds gold. This is all wired in to get the spot price at that moment. It's going to add some gold, accumulate it. It's also going to accumulate only when the indicator flashes a cycle low. So then we'll be able to compare a standard DCA on the 1st of the month with a cycle low indicator DCA, and it will have a comparison and tell you how much was invested, how much better the indicator is, how much money you can save by just waiting for the cycle low to flash on the indicator and add into your stack. And yeah, over a few months, I'm pretty confident that regardless of the direction gold moves in, the indicator will prove to be able to get you a much better average price. So yeah, that's coming soon. It will be available for everyone. We're going to show it on the channel. We're going to update it, and we'll run it for a few months, and we'll see what happens. So yeah. Decent question. How am I? I'm great, brother. I'm great. Thank you. I'm going to be busy, I think. You know, when the markets move, then we have to do some work. We've been sat around doing nothing for a month, and now it's time to get back in that office seat. So yeah, I'm good. I'm good. This is what we do, and I love it. So happy days. Yeah. So yeah, thank you all for being here. I think that's going to be a wrap. Again, if you're a level 3 member, look out for some updates. Other than that, thank you all for being here, and look out for a video tomorrow. We may even go live again, depending on how crazy things get. So other than that, take good care, look after yourselves, manage risk, okay? Respect risk. And I'm your boy Camel. Until next time, take care. Cheers. Bye.